least you could have done was play a good game, a decent game, not a hardcore game for an all-star game, but a decent game with some effort. Otherwise, why are we picking the so-called best players in the league, the best players in the world, if it didn't matter? Talk about the WNBA All-Star Game on Saturday night. Many of you were with me in the live stream, and we had quite the conversation. I did a poll afterwards asking people what their impression of the game was, the game itself. I'm going to tell you what I felt about the game. Then I'm going to take you over to the poll, read the poll question for you for those who didn't see it, and also share with you the results so far. The poll is still open, but we're gonna show you what it is so far. So first of all, I came into the All-Star Game really looking forward to it, and I shared during the live stream what I know, and that is All-Star games typically aren't the same as a regular season or playoff game. I know some people are new to basketball, and some people maybe have never watched an All-Star game, whatever. So I wanted to make it clear, you're not going to see a whole lot of defense early in the game, but both teams generally want to win. And so at the end of the game, usually around the fourth quarter, you see it pick up a little bit as the teams vie to win the game. So that was what I expected. I didn't expect it to be as light as it was in terms of the way they played, the lack of effort we saw. Again, I didn't expect it to be hardcore basketball, which is why I was surprised last season. But last season was different because you had the Olympic team taking on the All-Stars, and they were kind of using that as an opportunity to be prepared for the Olympics. We, of course, remember how Kelsey Plum face guarded Caitlin Clark. We've had plenty of laughs about that. But that was different. Typically, an All-Star game is more fun. It's not deep defense. But one of the things I did say, too, is it's harder for women basketball players, from what I have observed over the years, to hold back from playing defense. So a lot of times a woman basketball player will be a little bit more aggressive even than a man will be in an all-star game. Not the case. So I get that. You don't want anybody to get hurt. You want it to be fun. You want to do some things maybe you wouldn't do in a regular game. But what we saw was totally not what I expected. To use the word that came out in the live stream, SNOOZEFEST. There were so many jokes from people who really weren't joking, but they were like, I'm so bored. This is ridiculous. We touched base with someone who was there at the game. She was bored, ended up leaving early. I was very disappointed at the lack of effort. The rules didn't help. The 4-point shot was a problem, because when you introduce the 4-point shot, then people start to look for that shot, and then they don't play. They don't play like you would want to see them play. And again, I didn't expect to see hardcore lockdown defense, especially since Caitlin wasn't playing, because if she was playing, we know. But I didn't expect to see that. But I expected to see energy. I expected them to look like they really wanted to put on a show. I expected to see some fun kind of things. They're not the men, so you're not going to see spin around 360 dunks, but some other stuff. It was absolutely boring, and people checked out, and I felt like it was embarrassing. They were shooting bricks. They were shooting air balls, and I know some people out there think that was done on purpose and that whole thing, which, by the way, I am going to address in a separate video, the other stuff that went on at the All-Star Game, the so-called message they were trying to send which was absolutely embarrassing and an absolute mess. Separate video. Right now, I'm going to get into the quality of the game itself or lack thereof. So I'm going to go over to the poll that I put up. I'm going to read the poll question that I put up after the game, the three options, and then you're going to look at the results so far of that poll. There are a lot of comments, so I can't read all the comments, but I am going to read some of them. You get in the comments of this video and tell me where you stand in terms of some of the comments we hear. And also, if you haven't voted in this, then, please do so. All right, let's go on over there. And here is my question. It says, for those who watch the WNBA All-Star Game tonight, Saturday, how enjoyable was the game? The game itself, not the live stream you were a part of or hanging out with friends during it, just the game itself. And I phrased it that way because there are people in the live stream who are like, we can't take this, it's terrible, but it's the live stream. We're enjoying the chit chat in the live stream, but the game was just terrible. So that's why I wanted to distinguish between just having a good time during the game and actually enjoying the game. So I had three options. One option, absolutely loved it. Big time bored was the second option, and so-so was the third option. As you can see, absolutely loved it. 5% of the people absolutely loved it. I'd love to know who these people are. I just would, just saying. Big time bored, 77%. 77% of the people who voted. Big time bored. And then the Sosa, 18%. We so far at this point have 887 votes. With 887 votes so far, 77% were bored. Wow. Okay, I knew that it was going to be high because, like I said, we were in the live stream and some folks said, good night, I'm out. And we even spoke to someone who was there during the game, was like, yeah, this is kind of boring. And then later said, I left early, I couldn't. All right, so let's look at some of these comments. And I wouldn't normally share other people's comments if they're private comments, but this is a public poll, so the comments are out there anyway. So it says, turned it off in the second quarter. It seemed like the pay us tease set the tone and they were going to make sure we all knew it. So glad I didn't make the trip. And like I said, I'm going to get into some of this other stuff, including these t-shirts, in another video. The pay us more shirts were not necessary. They are losing money. It was a 4-point shooting fest. No defense at all. No competition. Turned it off at the half. Bored. Next. It was like the players just went through the motions with zero passion or effort applied. We turned it off at halftime. They weren't competing. Next. Pay them what they're owed. Sure. Pay them less. Next. What a disappointment, especially compared to last year. And again, last year was going to be a little bit different, but yeah, it was still a disappointment. I live for watching the Fever and all the W games, quite frankly. I was very disappointed in this game. The pay us t-shirts were in poor taste and accomplished nothing. As a matter of fact, their lackluster performances were the opposite of what their message was. If they want to show their worth, please compete. Don't just barely go through the motions. I wish I knew what the fans in attendance thought. It looked like nothing more than a shoot around to me. And again, that was powerful right there. And again, we did speak to one person in the chat who was there, and she left early too. Someone here says, I watched for about 10 minutes and it was a complete circus. I didn't know what I was even watching. So glad CC didn't partake. Next, I want to get paid for watching it. And so it said revenue sharing for viewers. And so it said those missed layups along with the drama. Yeah. Next, I'm from England, and this was my first time watching an All-Star game. I even booked a day off work to watch this as I work overnights. So the game started at like 2 a.m. here, but never again. I was expecting to see a clash of the Titans game and was excited to see the best WNBA players play against each other, but I was massively disappointed. It wasn't even like it was a real game. No defense, 4-point shots, no real coaching. What a shame. Wow. That was such a waste of time. So disappointed. That doesn't even qualify as a game. So far, nobody's having a good time. The people I've read, those comments I've read are not from that 5%. But there are some comments of people who were not quite as bored, I guess. It says, I think they thought they did something wearing the shirts and phoning it in with a lazy play. I think it will backfire on them in negotiations. I can't imagine owners capitulating given the current political and social climate. I think these women believe it's still 2015. Shaming language doesn't work as well. Owners can easily find other charities to give money to that will be glad be glad for the help and won't openly hate or disrespect them. Not a good look for the struggling WNBA. I feel sorry for the people that pay so much money to be there. Non-competitive effort. I see competition in the park. I see better competition in the park. So here's this one. My main enjoyment was watching so many star players looking ridiculous, shooting 4-pointers that are still inside Clark's average 3-point range. Hopefully they have newfound respect, except Fee. She was ridiculous, she played really well. And she did. She had like 36 points. And so she broke the record for the most points in an All-Star game. That said, I also skipped through half the game. Let me just skip through some of this. Okay, so here's a positive one. The biggest thing I enjoyed the entire All-Star was that Cece was able to kick back and show her true self. I think it was great to see her being able to be so free. We got a huge disappointment here. The women were classless. More talk about the t-shirts. Let me just, because I know there were some who really liked it. Again, the game was so boring. I turned it off at the third quarter. Very not happy people. Let me see. SNOOZEFEST right there. Okay, somebody was a new fan. I'm going to read this because remember, you're appealing to a new fan base as well. You want to show them something. Says, I'm a new fan. I thought it was going to be a real game. I could just turn off the TV, but I felt badly for all those people who paid to be there. Maybe they knew, but I'll bet a lot of them didn't. It was awful. Fell asleep about 20 minutes in. All right. I'm glad I didn't travel there. Major disappointment. Big difference. Let's see. It says it was my first time seeing any All-Star type of game, so I had no expectations. Given they come from different systems, obviously it is tough to play together. I was pleased that it was played at half speed and no one got hurt. Looks like Indy did a good job for setting the stage. So this was an interesting perspective. I'm glad they didn't play hard because nobody got hurt. Here's this one. Considering all the players just wanted to have fun and they all said it, except a few players in particular, and enjoy the time together without the need for defensive playing, it was good. They all pretty much realized this was an event to celebrate CC, whether you thought so or not. They all, except two, gave credit where credit was deserved. Plus the fact that they all said being that they go back to work on Tuesday, they wanted to just enjoy having fun this weekend. If others didn't hear this beforehand and were expecting something different, that's their fault for not completely following the All-Star content. I hear what you're saying here, but I don't think anybody expected to spend their money and go and them not to compete. You can have fun and compete at the same time, and that's generally how it has been. What we saw yesterday was not what I consider just having fun. You got to compete. If you're, nobody said, hey, come pay your money and come. We're not going to compete. We're going to throw up bricks. We're going to shoot 4-point shots and we're going to bore you out of your mind. But I hear your perspective about them having fun. That wasn't an All-Star game showcase and tell. It was a free for all, just chucking up shots with no defense. So we're moving on and on. Someone says here, I wasn't expecting a competition because it is an Olympic year. It was a celebration of the WNBA and a charity event, and as such, it was very enjoyable. I enjoyed the lighthearted plays and CC doubling down on just getting more fours, LOL. So again, somebody said, I like the lightheartedness, It was team hurt versus team hangover, so I didn't expect much with the quality of basketball. The vibe, though, is high up there. Someone else, I enjoyed everyone having a great time. The players play a lot of games in a short period of time. It's absurd to expect them to go all out in this game. I was angry at some of the Team Collier players who decided they were going to play hard. I'm thinking Plum, Beckers, and Diggins. Well, that's interesting. So again, we're seeing some of that percentage who thought it was great and who thought it was so-so. Okay, someone said I voted so-so as it's fun watching them have fun. I also appreciate that there was little to no chance of injury. However, I didn't watch the second half. Company came. Now, normally I would have put it on my phone to keep getting glimpses, but this time I felt I wouldn't be missing much. So I did it. That alone says a lot, as I am a diehard fan. I don't miss games. Yeah, it says a whole lot. Turned it off at the half. I'm glad the ladies have fun. I didn't want to see anyone get hurt. It was such a good vibe all weekend. That being said, I turned the game off, and I don't think they should have had MVP, etc., for a basic exhibition game. Here's somebody else. I enjoyed it. It was highly entertaining once you get the idea that it was, let go of the idea that it was a game. Stewie's passes to Ryan and Kiki were awesome. Of course, Ryan wasn't playing, for those of you who don't know. So she passed to Ryan, who was on the sitting courtside with the team. Such a shame. I watched the women's WWE live event, Evolution, and they tore the house down. There was no effort in this game, and the crowd felt it. I quit watching after second. So you're seeing most of the people just thought it was boring, but I still watched it. Kind of in check with the other professional leagues where All-Star games are just a letdown. But hey, a big shout out to Indianapolis for standing out. Yeah. Okay, so we were at the game and loved it. I shut it off. It was awful. And don't get me started on that whole shirt stunt. What a joke. Yeah. And again, I'm going to get to that in a separate video. Somebody here was disappointed. I expected a little more of a game without the players tossing up fours. Okay, you get the idea. 5% absolutely loved it. 77% big time bored. 18% so-so. Lots of people disappointed with the lack of energy, how boring it was. And the thing is, for this league, you've got first-time people, you've got new people. I wouldn't have expected that. That was embarrassing. People didn't watch, or people, when I say didn't watch, I mean they didn't hang around. Some were just totally disgusted, honestly. And when you add to that there were other reasons, as you can see in the comments, for people to be disgusted, the least you could have done was play a good game, a decent game, not a hardcore game for an all-star game, but a decent game with some effort. Otherwise, why are we picking the so-called best players in the league, the best players in the world, if it didn't matter? Most people were ridiculously bored and offended, quite frankly. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.